Ecuador is home to some of the most biologically diverse regions in the world, and in recent years, the country has become a leader in environmental protection in South America. In 2008, Ecuador ratified a new constitution that was the first in the world to recognize the rights of nature and prohibit resource extraction in ecologically protected areas. Ecuador has also garnered international attention due to its long-standing legal battles with the energy giant Chevron. Ecuadorian plaintiffs have alleged that Chevron subsidiary Texaco was responsible for widespread contamination in the Lago Agrio oil field from 1972 to 1993. Despite a ruling in favor of the affected Ecuadorian communities in 2011, Chevron has rejected the court's findings and refused to pay any fines. Today's guest on From Quito is Lorena Tapia, Ecuador's Minister of the Environment. Tapia sat down with host Andy Sebastia to discuss Ecuador's conservation projects, the Chevron case, and the future of the environmental movement in Ecuador.
Welcome to Interviews from Quito at Telesur in English. My name is Andy Sebastia. Our guest today is Lorena Tapia, Minister of Environment. Thank you, Lorena, for meeting us today. Your webpage talks about your passion of green. Describe this passion for us.
Well, it was a story they did when I was appointed as minister 2 years ago, in November 2012. And yes, environmental issues are my passion. There's too much work to do in terms of quality of life, and that's a challenge for any person as a public servant. When people ask me how it feels to be Minister of the Environment, I say it's a great opportunity to serve, and that's what public officials should do, serve the citizens. Environmental issues are really sensitive, and there's a great opportunity to work with citizens, generate better living conditions, beyond the purely disciplinary role that the environmental authority usually has. What we are trying to generate is an environmental policy that goes hand in hand with citizenship and environmental education to make everyone part of the process of change in Ecuador, which is now known for its tackling of environmental issues.
You studied law at the University of Católica Guayaquil. Since then, you've been active in politics. Tell us about your early political experience.
Yes, I studied at the Catholic University of Guayaquil. I've always been attracted to political issues, and so far I'm the only woman who has led the main political party of the law school at the Catholic University. So I've always seen it as an opportunity to soar, and I always highlight this fact. At the university, I served the members of my law school. It was a very important opportunity, and the movement continues to this day. Its name is Lex 81, and it remains a benchmark in the Faculty of Law at the Catholic University, and I'm proud of having been a leader of this movement.
Where does your interest in environmental law come from?
I started off working in business law. I received a master's in business from Chile, focusing on the economic themes of law. When I arrived in Quito 6 years ago and started with the Ministry of the Environment, I worked in the Social and Environmental Repair Program, first as a lawyer and later as assistant manager. I think the theme of social and environmental repair is basically how we respond to the environment and social effects of productive activities like oil or mining, what the activity generates with respect to citizens and the environment. I approached it in a very serious way, and it was a space to position myself not only in terms of my professional development, but also how I wanted to serve my country and address environmental issues. After that, I deepened my knowledge in environmental issues in Monterrey, but now time doesn't permit me to continue studying. I'll do more in the future. After working here, I must say I will never leave this field because environmental issues are my passion.
Could you tell us what's going on with these issues with the Chevron case?
With the visit to the well, Ecuadorians can tell the world that what we say is true. The Chevron operation was absolutely irresponsible. They did not apply the basic parameters used in other countries where they operate. They did not respect the basic rules of the game. So we are not talking about accidental pollution. We're talking about bad practice from the very start of the operation. What is Ecuador actually trying to do with this action against Chevron? I've said it several times. We're going to do all that is necessary to make the company respond to the environmental and social pollution they have generated. In this regard, we have seen the case as an opportunity. Several authorities and international personalities have visited us. The policy of the Ecuadorian state is very clear in environmental matters. It is a priority for the government, and that's why it's provided in the constitution that all Ecuadorians have the right to live healthily and in balance with the environment. Ecuador will continue to face Chevron, regardless of all the international discredit the company has placed on our country. With the courage that Ecuadorians have to tell our own story and utilise all the tools, not only technical but also legal, to defend what we want to prove, Chevron must be held responsible for the pollution it created in Ecuador.
In recent years, the Ecuadorian government has put into practice a number of policies that speak about greater responsibility towards the environment. Can you comment on this?
Yes, of course. Well, the Constitution is one of the most important pillars of Ecuador's makeup, and it's one of the most environmentally friendly in the world. It is the only constitution in the world that recognizes the rights of nature. I had the opportunity to be in the Assembly of the United Nations in Nairobi, where there was a talk by an Ecuadorian expert who spoke about the rights of nature. Everyone is watching how Ecuador makes viable the recognition of these rights, and does so effectively. We are doing it. The Ministry of the Environment has imposed landmark sentences, for example against mining in protected areas, where it was possible for the first time in history to impose a criminal punishment on those affecting our ecosystem. In Ecuador, we continue to take on major projects, such as Socio-Forest, which refers to the forests of the national and international level. What is Socio-Forest? It's a program that, through economic incentives, has preserved a wilderness, in this case a native territory. Since its inception, this program has managed to preserve more than 1 million hectares. Tomorrow we will launch the Socio-Mangrove program to conserve our mangroves on the coast, because the coast should also join the mission of conservation. I also want to mention the historic restoration program currently being carried out by the government. We have quintupled the goal achieved by previous governments. Usually 20,000 hectares were reforested in a year, and this year we reforested 100,000 hectares. Our minimum goal for 2017 is to reforest 500,000 hectares, financed 100% by the Ecuadorian government. This is very important. Working together with the authorities of the territories and hand in hand with citizens, it is an initiative that invites young and old to create what we call our quest to build a greener Ecuador.
The United Nations International Summit on Climate Change will take place at the end of the year. Could you tell us the importance of this summit?
We have managed to articulate strategies that allow us to have success in certain areas, but they are not strong enough. In Lima, we have the opportunity to do it, the opportunity of being listened to. Countries like Ecuador, Venezuela, Bolivia and Colombia, we will be able to have a more solid position as Latin American countries. We have created some strategies to deal with this issue. There will be prior meetings in New York where the world's presidents are going to meet, and Ecuador will be able to tell them what we are doing in terms of climate change. Ecuador is not responsible for pollution beyond a marginal degree.
Creemos importante lo que va a pasar previo a Lima, va a ser en septiembre en Nueva York, va a ser una reunión de presidentes del mundo donde pueda contar Ecuador qué está haciendo en materia de cambio climático. El Ecuador no siendo responsable de la contaminación, sino en un aspecto muy marginal a nivel mundial.
In the case of the Network project, we achieved a reduction of emissions from deforestation and degradation. So countries like Germany and Norway have to recognize the efforts made by Ecuador and should provide compensation for the effort made by us, about $35 million. We continue moving forward in many international forums promoting the advance on climate change. So I think Peru is an important opportunity,
espacios internacionales representando digamos, en organismos importantes a nivel técnico, lo que significa el avance en materia
But
de
that's
cambio
why we're
climático.
making
Así que yo veo a
preparations with the
Perú
countries
como
of
una
Alba,
importante oportunidad,
UNASUR
pero
and
para eso
CELAC
acciones
to
previas
provide a
preparatorias
leading
que
role
en este
in the
momento
Lima
estamos haciendo con
summit.
los países del ALBA, de UNASUR o de CELAC, para tener una posición protagónica en lo que va a pasar en Lima.
Well, you say the people in Ecuador have becoming more aware regarding the need of protect the environment.
Well, the
Bueno,
example that
el
I see as an
ejemplo que yo lo veo
opportunity
como una
is what's
oportunidad es lo que
happening
está
in Block
pasando en el bloque
43.
43 LTT.
Before,
Antes, los ecuatorianos
Ecuadorians
no
never
hablábamos,
talked
no nos
about or
preocupábamos de
showed
eso.
concern for these
Así que ahora el
issues.
ecuatoriano,
Now
todos los
all
ecuatorianos
Ecuadorians are
hablan del tema
talking about
ambiental, así que hemos
environmental
hecho
issues,
mucho.
so we
En
really
estos
have made a
últimos
lot
7
of
años este gobierno ha
progress.
posicionado el tema
In the past
ambiental de
5
manera
years, the government has
estratégica,
positioned
con el
environmental
Ministerio de
issues
Ambiente
strategically.
consolidado, que ha sido prioritario en la agenda.
Ecuador has
Hoy el
established
Ministerio
a
del Ambiente
Ministry
hace
of the
parte
Environment
de
that
los
has been
sectores
high on the
estratégicos del
agenda.
país. Eso es un
Today, the
mensaje
Ministry of the
muy
Environment
fuerte.
is part of the
Así que la
strategic
ciudadanía que
sectors
se
of the
puede dar
country,
más.
and that's
Yo
a
le veo
very
una
strong
oportunidad más
message.
allá de que en algunos aspectos no coincidamos con el
I can see
pensamiento que
even
se
greater
tenga, por
opportunities
ejemplo,
for
lo que pasa
citizen
con el ITT del bloque
empowerment.
43, que se
Citizens
empodere,
must be
que haya una
empowered to be
veeduría
more
activa,
active.
que estos
These general
problemas que se están
problems need
generando
to
de
provide a
coyunturas
space and
particulares
opportunity for
sea un espacio de
Ecuadorians to have
oportunidad
more
para que el
power in
ecuatoriano se
environmental
empodere aún
issues.
más de los temas ambientales.
You're combining a successful career with your responsibilities as a mother and also as a minister. How do you manage to do this?
Bueno, creo que lo más
Well, I
importante
think the
en mi
most
vida, más
important
allá del
thing in
cargo
my life,
político, es mi
beyond my
hijo y
political
obviamente mi
position, is
esposo,
my
¿no?
son and
Pero hablando
obviously
de
my
mi hijo,
husband. But my son is the
es
engine that
justamente el
drives me to
motor que me
sacrifice
impulsa
hours of
días
my
a
life
sacrificar
here
horas de
in
mi
order
vida
to give him a
para
better
dar un Ecuador
Ecuador.
mejor, un Ecuador
Ecuador is now
hoy
seen
es
as an
un
international
referente a nivel
benchmark, and we will
internacional y en
continue
temas
to move
ambientales
forward.
seguimos avanzando. Así que
So my son is
mi hijo lo es
everything
todo,
and
es
is
mi
my
motor,
engine and my
es mi
motivation to
motivación
move
para seguir
forward.
avanzando
The
y que
balance between personal and
este
professional life
equilibrio
is
entre lo
sometimes
profesional y
difficult,
personal
but
que a
not
veces es
impossible.
difícil, pero
It
no
can be
es
achieved
imposible
with the
si se puede
support of
lograr con el
family.
apoyo de la familia.
As a Minister of Environment, what is your message for our audience?
Bueno, yo quiero en este
I want to invite
espacio invitar a
everyone
todos
to make
aquellos que
environmental
hablamos
issues part of
español
our daily
a que
lives.
los temas
The
ambientales
Environmental
sigan
Authority
siendo un
cannot
referente
succeed if citizens
importante en
don't
nuestro
cooperate.
diario vivir, en el cotidiano. No hay ningún esfuerzo de autoridad ambiental que llegue a un resultado
Environmental
exitoso si
issues
los
are the
ciudadanos no
responsibility of
cooperan. Los temas
everyone,
ambientales son
and
responsabilidad de
environmental
todos.
issues are
Así que
areas
los
of
temas ambientales son
opportunity
un
for
espacio
all
de
citizens
oportunidad
to work
para
to
que
create
todos los
friendlier
ciudadanos
spaces
trabajen por
from the
generar
environmental point
espacios
of
más
view,
amigables
wherever
con el
they are.
ambiental en cualquier lugar en el que se encuentren.
Well, this has been interviews from Quito at Telesur in English. My name is Andy Sebastia. We'll see you next time.